Welcome back to yet another episode on KobeMC Photography's channel. This time we are going to be talking about a controversial subject, at least somewhat controversial. It is the PENTAX K-3 Mark III menu. A lot of people have mentioned that they don't like the new menu, they prefer the old one, I don't know why they changed it, they should have left it. If you're not aware, the K-3 Mark III incorporates the Ricoh GR style menu system, which after I get the argument and I get the point, once you've used something that's been around for decades, you just become familiar with it. That's just how it is. And then they completely revamped the entire menu from top to bottom. It's entirely different, layout's different, navigation's different. Yes, you may not like it at first. However, deep diving into the menu structure, the new menu system in the K-3 Mark III actually makes way more sense than all the older menus on the K1, the K1 series, KS2, KS1, K70, K30, K50, K5, K7, K20, K10, K100, K500, K3, K3 Mark II, KP, blah. This menu in the K-3 Mark III just makes way more sense. For example, go grab your camera right now. If you happen to have one of the older generation cameras, here's something to check out. When you go to change your autofocus settings in regards to first action in AFC or how your AFS is going to operate, whether it's release or focus priority, and first action in AFC and all that stuff, where do you find that menu? Do you find it in the autofocus settings in the camera menu? No, you have to go all the way to the end of the menu over to the customization. However, it's technically not a customization parameter. It is an autofocus option. So it should be within the autofocus category, which should be in the camera menu, but it's not. However, in the K-3 Mark III, everything has a category, and following along with that category, it actually makes a lot of sense. So let's just go through the K-3 Mark III menu and you'll see what I'm talking about. I might actually change some people's minds with this. Who knows? Okay, we're going to start off with the basic autofocus options. So as you see here in the camera menu on the K-3 Mark III, which is on the left side, autofocus with viewfinder, and the category is the focus settings. Now this is all the parameters for the camera itself. So if we scroll down, if we go back one and switch over to category 2, you get your exposure settings, which is still related to the camera. Then you get your white balance settings, shooting settings, everything to do with the actual camera body and how you're going to be utilizing it. Shooting assist, image process settings, image capture settings, shooting settings, white balance settings, exposure settings, and focus settings. Now on the K3 Mark I and other older PENTAX cameras, this is the camera menu. You've got memory card options, image capture settings, autofocus assist light, digital filter, HDR capture, lens corrections on off. Next category, dynamic range, ISO auto setting, high ISO noise reduction, slow shutter speed noise reduction, program line options, GPS if you have it, live view, electronic level, horizon correction, AA filter simulator, shake reduction, instant review, digital preview, EDAL programming, button customization, memory, and save user mode. Now some of these, let's look at the autofocus thing. Just some of these, the categorization of the ones on here don't make any sense. So let's go into autofocus with viewfinder on the K-3 Mark III. You have your autofocus mode, your autofocus active area, autofocus area restriction, AFS setting, first frame action in AFC continues. So everything that pertains to your autofocus is in the autofocus with viewfinder mode, because that's what those are the parameters you want to change, is autofocus with viewfinder, which is part of the camera settings. it's nowhere to be found on the K3 Mark I. In order to get to those settings, you have to scroll all the way to the very end, almost to the very end, and here you have AFS setting. First frame action in AFC, action in AFC continuous, autofocus hold status, autofocus with remote control, all that stuff. So this menu on the older style cameras does not make a whole lot of sense in regards to where the locations are for these settings. It just doesn't make any sense. For example, let's go back. Let's go into the customization mode here. And customization, save user mode settings, rename user mode, recall user mode, reset user mode, exposure in user mode, user setting restoration. What does the FX button do? Because you can customize it. Autofocus, auto exposure lock settings, because that's customizable as well. Customize the preview dial, e-dial programming, smart function customization, one push ISO auto, one push exposure reset. Like, these are all customized modes that you can set on the camera. These are individual customization modes for an individual way that you want to have the camera deal with certain things. Let's go back to the autofocus. Now autofocus with live view. Now you've got your contrast autofocus options, focus peaking, autofocus active area, autofocus for H horizontal vertical composition, face detection. All these things are actually in a much better location than they are on the K3 Mark I. On the K3 Mark I here, and you have your live view, but it's not actually in a dedicated autofocus menu. Let's go to the playback here. Let's go all the way up. Let's go to the playback menu here and see if it makes any sense. So you have your slideshow here. You select your playback card, auto image rotation, playback order options, playback sound volume, touch image browse effect, delete, protect, image rotation, image copy, file transfer, save raw data, everything that has to do with saving the image and editing. Everything in regards to the playback menu options is in this section. In here, there's hardly anything. Hardly anything. And then let's go into the full customization here. Let's go all the way up. The very first thing on here is format on the K3 Mark III. Create new folder, folder name. So these are all file setting options. In here, there's no actual category. It's just language, date, world time, text, sound effects, LCD. Just a lot of this does not make much sense. I honestly do think the layout and the thought and categorization on the K3 Mark III sharing the Ricoh GR menu is a much better layout, and it actually does make more sense than the older style PENTAX menus. Yes, the older PENTAX menus are very simple. They're simple to scroll across, simple to use. However, they're just not very well laid out, at least for me. This makes a lot more sense. You want to change things in regards to the camera. Got your autofocus options. Everything's there. Exposure metering, face priority, link autofocus and auto exposure point, ISO sensitivity settings, your flash mode, program line, auto EV compensation. Everything about the shooting experience is here in the camera menu, which is where it should be. It shouldn't be anywhere else. And that's really all I got to say about that. Me personally, I think they've done a marvelous job redoing the entire menu from top to bottom and really thinking about the categorization of where all the options actually are in the new menu compared to the old style. Some may agree, some may disagree. But anyway, that's it for this video. If you like the video, leave a like. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. Do subscribe, it always helps out. If you want to support the channel, that info is down there at the bottom. You can read it yourself. Do what you want to do. Buy me coffee. I don't know. Give me your 2 cents worth. If you want to leave a comment, do that below. And if you don't like the video, I guess you can thumbs it down, whatever. There's no point even saying, at least give an explanation why, because nobody ever does. But yeah, that's it. You'll see me in my next video. I'm out.